leadership positions we have. We typically draw 2 from our internal ranks, and we typically look at our leadership cohort. We like to bring 1 in from the outside. Fresh perspective, fresh blood's always an important thing. I will tell you, we had some disagreement when we started this. When I was hired, the question was, okay, Andy, you're going to bring in these 15 people every year. And I think Ralston brings in a similar number. I'm guessing Miller brings in an even larger number. Miller's program might be a 2-year program, as I recall. But the question was, okay, so we only have 2 or 3 administrative positions open a year. You bring in 15 people, there's not going to be enough spots for everybody. And what if you train these people up and then they decide to go someplace else? That's okay. In fact, that's more than okay. That's a good thing. If we can identify somebody and provide some really good experiences and support, and they go to an Elkhorn or a Millard or a Lincoln or wherever, bully for them. You know, we're all about, you know, creating hopefully a better educational experience across the state. And my question is, what's worse, developing leaders and providing training and seeing them walk out the door, or taking people as they are and being okay with the status quo? I'd rather just develop leaders and know full well that some of them are going to walk. That's just the nature of the business. Than bring people in and hope and pray that by not providing them those opportunities, they'll stick around for the long haul. That to me is indefensible. So part of the secret sauce for us anyway has been identifying people, providing hopefully high quality professional development, and tapping them for leadership positions.
In a school of my size, while we don't have anything formal like that, there are conversations that I have with teachers. One had been convinced that this is the direction that he wanted to go. He enrolled in a program and took his first classes and going, I don't think I want to do this. So it works in that direction too, to help those that have thought that this is the direction they want to go, realize that their true heart remains in the classroom, and that's where they want to be. With our steering committee, these are the teachers that I recognize as the leaders in our district, and so I work with them a lot in having those conversations about curriculum and policy, and which directions do we want to go, the data and all of those, and then they're the ones that are tagged with going out to talk with the other teachers and be the model and be the trainer of the trainer, basically, if that's the name that you want to put on them, to get the message out. These are the important things that we're talking about as a committee. These are the things that we're going to have within our system. One of the trends that I've noticed, especially in our area when I've been reading the settlements, the negotiation settlements, have been the funds that the school districts are starting to put aside for teachers who want to get further hours. And so they have an opportunity to apply to this committee or this the folks that are governing the fund, and they could have their entire school year paid for by the school district to further their education. And while we're not there yet, that is certainly something that I feel is a really nice tool, especially for schools our size, to sort of identify or encourage teachers to expand their schooling, their knowledge base and hopefully to move into administration. I've got one teacher now who is moving in that direction. She's decided that administration is not going to necessarily be a bad thing. So she's going to take off. Ruth Kowalski. She's entering into a administrative program. So I'm excited for her. Yay, women.
As far as just really, the two main words are you act upon observed excellence. When you observe excellence within the staff member, then obviously you look at other ways in which you can take their talents and put it to good use for the district. To quote myself, which I love to do, let's see. An effective, responsive school district cannot rely upon the mere division of duties. So this is a math thing. You don't divide duties, it instead relies upon the multiplication of talents. Don't divide duties, multiply the talents. So that was always a good mantra to have. And as far as another really
Good one.
brilliant thing that I
Good
wrote,
job,
as educational leaders, and with our staff and within there, I said, we instill in the leadership team the skill of inclusive thinking, which is the process of teaching decision makers how to think by analyzing who will be affected and what the effect will be. So I made it a point to try and teach people how to use a cognitive ability. Because I like brains. I like wise people. I like people with good judgment. I want to put them in positions. I want to let them do their thing. I don't want to have to maximize them. So if you can teach people how to think, and then also how to articulate the process. What were you thinking? What did you think from beyond? What did you want to happen? Tell me. Think about it. You know, there's nothing worse than you tell a kid, why'd you do that? I don't know. Yes, you do. There's a reason that you did that. You know, why did you pull her hair? Why did you stick your finger in the socket? Why did you cancel school? You know, all those things. There's a reason, and you have to be able to relay your cognitive process. They expect that of people. People don't necessarily have to agree with your thinking, but everybody in the district wants to know that you are thinking. Did you think about this? Did you even think about this? And if you can say, yes, I did, and this is what I thought. And they can go away and say, well, I don't agree with your judgment, I don't agree with your ability, but at least, thank goodness, you tried to use the thing between your ears. Thank you for trying. And we'll go from there.
I would echo a lot of the comments that Andy made, and actually all the panelists. We put a lot of effort into this. Matter of fact, the superintendent before me is Dr. Jerry Reeve, who's serving in Iowa now, and it became a board expectation that we would have some sort of leadership opportunities for our teachers. And I preach about and write about teacher leadership all the time, and it looks so different across the board. And one of my frustrations is not having more opportunities for them to continue on their leadership journey. You know, there's just not enough money and even sometimes not enough time. I'm losing two this year of what I would consider to be really good teacher leaders that are heading other places in the city to grow their leadership, and I'm behind them 1,000%. Matter of fact, I wrote to them, both those people, and said, hey, I'm proud of you, great job, do not want to lose you here, but, you know, we're behind you. We have RPS Leadership Academy Year 1, Year 2. We're probably not as particular as some. I don't turn anybody away, which I don't know if that's right or wrong, we just don't. And some of the powerful things with it is I get to really learn about those people. And kind of our standing orders, if we have a job that comes open in the district that you are qualified for, you will have an interview for that job. Doesn't mean you're going to get it. And then I always talk to them also, I think this is really important, I always talk to them about grace. I had a superintendent once, Dr. Keith Rohr. He told me one day, he said, don't ever let a job you don't get in the way of one you might get later. And so if you don't get a job, you gotta have grace, because you never know when that next one's gonna come around. Pretty darn important thing.
Well, that's how I ended up superintendent, because the first time I applied for it, they hired someone else. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to stay, do I have to go, whatever. But, you know, I had told them from the get-go that whatever your decision was going to be, I would support it, and I'd work with whomever you chose to hire if it wasn't going to be for me. And I think that went a long way with the board and them understanding that I put the district first instead of my own personal feelings and drive. So I would agree with that.
Yeah, there'll be jobs you don't get, and it's not always gonna be because you don't meet a certain criteria. You might be excellent for the job. They also may be looking for certain things. Like, you know, I hired an elementary principal several years ago. one of our elementaries that I felt just needed this certain personality of person. We had 3 or 4 very qualified people, and so the final call has to be made. And, you know, a person who didn't get it they were angry, and they'd come back with me. And you know, their time came later, but it wasn't the right, I didn't think it was the right setting for that person. We do, our contract, and this is not new, our teachers can earn up to 12 credit hours reimbursed by the district as they work towards their master's or advanced degree. I think that's pretty cool, so I feel like we've really invested in our people growing. About half of our folks will take it for credit. I too, like Andy, teach 2 classes through UNO. And so about half the people who take the classes that we offer take it for credit through UNO. About half of them don't. They just want the experience. So I think it's really darn important. So.
We've heard a lot of celebrations and opportunities with HR, you guys, but if you had to choose one opportunity working with HR, what would that be? One of the biggest challenges?
Challenge or opportunity? Same
Challenge,
thing.
sorry. Yeah,
Okay,
kind of.
challenge, okay. For me, the challenge is getting the largest pool of candidates I could possibly get. When you're in a rural district that is an hour and a half away from Lincoln, an hour away from Hastings, almost 2.5 hours away from Omaha, there are things that you have to do that Lincoln or Omaha doesn't have to do, which is beat the bushes. Last year, I needed a new music teacher, and I'm telling you, I made so many phone calls to deans of music colleges in Nebraska. Please promote our school, please, you know, this is what we're offering, this is what we're looking for. If you have anybody, please mention us to them. And thankfully then, I was able to have about 5 candidates. Otherwise, I had 1. And I knew that I wanted somebody besides that 1. Same thing happens with science, same thing happens with family consumer science. I found my family consumer science teacher at a gas station. She was working there part-time and just happened to stop, and conversation took place, and that's how we got our family consumer science, who is now also our half-time guidance counselor. So it's just the challenge for smaller districts is making sure that we, if we can't compete with location, that we can compete in other ways. And that's always going to be a challenge in HR, is finding the right person, but also expanding it to as much as you can, the opportunity to get those people.
I'll kick in mine. I wish there was a way to know we're always going to hit the mark.
Yeah, gosh, yes.
And even with all these processes, these online tools, these different questionnaires and interviews and spending time with them, you always hit the mark. And when you don't hit the mark in a bad way, when I was a principal, I'd always think about, I've hired this person, now I've got 150 to 180 kids a day. Seeing this person, pretty big responsibility. So you got to figure out what you're going to do, because that could cause quite a lot of trouble over time. So I wish you knew you're always going to hit the mark. If you're not, that's when you have to have courage to say, all right, we got to figure out where we're going here, because we can't keep doing this. The other one is this. This just happened to me Friday. Text message, Mark, a really good employee I have that works in the maintenance division. My daughter just moved back from Minnesota. She's a really good teacher. Is there something you can do? Or a principal would say, this person I know over here, for a long time, I know they'd be excellent,